Green Room Radio. Welcome back to the show. Super James, Domo, and Tru checking in for another episode. And man, I think there's no like real. I was can't say UFC, can't say grappling, just all around fighter. Jake Shields joining us today, man. Appreciate you coming. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having me on.
Definitely, man. How's everybody doing, man? What's going on since we last met?
I think we're all doing better than Marshawn Lynch.
I guess since I just opened TMZ and that was the first thing on there, we can hit with that. I know you were talking about you're originally from the Bay Area, so a longtime friend of Marshawn.
Yeah, he's a personal friend, so it's a touchy subject. It sucks. You got arrested. I just heard when I walked in.
It's just like I feel like everyone's always like, it's like who's the next Raider to get that Vegas bug. I feel like if I was like anyone up like head of the Raiders, like, yo, we should practice out of the city. Like, just we come to Vegas just for the games, and then you guys can't live in Vegas because it's just like,
yeah, exactly. Tell them to hire a fucking driver.
Yeah, like, come on, bro.
This is what I thought. I thought when I heard that Raiders were coming to Vegas, I'm like, oh, they're gonna bring this fucking Oakland crowd. Shit's gonna hit the fan. It's all the fucking.
It's just the players. It's not even the fans.
The shit has hit the fan with all the players.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised the fans haven't been that bad.
I really haven't seen much about it. I mean, they've been respecting the stadium, the city. I don't think there's been.
Yeah, much. I remember in
Oakland, you have those photos of the car. This is going to be a hard one in court because I guess he was hitting center dividers, hitting stuff. It says he left just a trail of mess. Before, it's like a half of a rim.
He must have hit something. Yeah. He was driving like that. The whole tire's gone.
That's what it says. It says until it came to a stop. Look, he's like in a random like back road or something.
Should have just hopped out his car and ran off.
Yeah,
he left the car.
That looks like
how did the tire come off?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know.
It says witnesses tell us they saw Lynch parked at the scene around 5:45 a.m.
Was that in front of Little Darlings? It's like back there on them little.
It's like one of those random back streets. It says they saw him at 5:45 2 hours before his arrest, so he was just sitting there with the car for 2 hours. And he just says,
this is what I always got to ask: like, where are these people's friends? All these Raiders that are getting in trouble.
I know you were out spending money with your boys before that.
Tire
so
this would
be
a donut in the trunk.
Yeah, or just leave it and get it in the morning.
That's right.
You might get your car towed. That's gonna be a lot cheaper than DUI. You're gonna have to deal with. You just bounce, and get it out of the tow lot in the morning.
Just say I don't know who took it from the last club I was at.
Hey, so that would be a good question. So obviously, them bringing pro sports here, the Raiders are struggling with these players being 19, 20 years old. Mm-hmm. So. Obviously, Las Vegas is MMA country. How can the UFC people, are they more disciplined than the NFL guys, or just what is
surprisingly they're not that out of control, which I was one of the most out of control ones.
As long as you kept in line, then you think everyone else is good.
I never lived. I'm a little older, but I used to come here and just fucking lose my mind for like 4 days. That's why I couldn't live here.
You came before the time they had to put all the rules down.
Yeah,
right.
So but some of the fighters get a little crazy here, but for the most part, they don't. A lot of the guys don't go out that much, and they go out a little bit. But
were you strict with yourself, like leading into fights? Or,
I would fully not drink
pull it
or
back.
Do anything else,
so that's different.
But
if you're playing football, you got a game every week or whatever. But at least like, all right, cool, I got this little cool down period before a fight.
Yeah, I think because fighting's so extreme, your cardio has to be so good. You can't screw off before. And football was like 10, 12 second.
Yeah.
Like at most, so you can come in a little hungover and deal with that.
still get away with it a little bit.
Plus, you got your team to rely on. But in fighting, it's
just you. Yeah. You can't let someone else like take the.
If you look like shit, everyone's gonna clown on you.
Did you ever fight anybody that you thought that you felt like maybe this person's hungover or maybe? I would like to think nobody gets fucked up the night before, but then you hear these John Jones stories and you're like, really? No, he was saying a week before, actually.
Actually, the only fight I ever had to pull out with from a back injury, I hear the guy was like drinking the night before I pulled right before right here. He was drunk the whole week leading up, and I had to pull off an injury. I'm like, God damn it! The one time
you probably could have done it anyways.
Yeah, it could have been my easy fight. This dude's like literally hammered before the weigh-in.
Yeah, some people say that drinking. I don't know if this is true, but they say that I've talked to some bodybuilders. They drink their ass off because it actually depletes them and helps them take the weight off. Is that true? Or does it make them look more shredded?
I've heard guys take a shot or two to cut weight, to dehydrate them. Yeah, but to me, it's cutting weight is so hard. The dehydration, I wouldn't want to deal with it. But I have heard of guys doing that. I do
Just
know a
last
couple
minute
fighters
things.
that drink a little, like leading up to their fights, even like day of, but they're kind of, they drink all the time, so their body handles it.
A couple drinks is nothing compared to what they normally
They'll
do.
like go through withdrawals that I think they're like, oh, I gotta have like a shot, otherwise I'm gonna feel like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually crazy. So the UFC, as far as sports, even though you don't really hear shit with the Golden Knights, those guys aren't getting in trouble.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that is a
I
good
don't
point.
think there has been much.
I think just the
Yeah.
whole football scene's a little more like, they're in the spotlight, they make money real quick, and they want to go crazy. I mean, hockey players do too, but I guess it's just a different culture.
Well, everybody said that, they give them this thing in the NFL. I keep reading every time somebody gets in trouble, they say that they get this free black card from anywhere. But then what I heard from some of the guys on the down low is when you call that black card, the black car, they contact your team.
Oh,
tell on
so
you.
they don't want.
So
So they don't want it. You don't want to
That's
call them
why
black card because it's
they're-
like
They should take that part out.
it's
and then
like
the guys-
calling it's like
Yeah.
calling your dad to pick you up, and he's gonna tell your mom.
Yeah, the coaches should be like, all right, I'm gonna have them not call me anymore, even if they're secretly getting it.
yeah, no shit.
But
Yeah,
then the
just-
guys, because like things like this, like Rashawn going to jail, it's so unnecessary when he could have just called a
Well,
car.
and who was he partying with?
He literally could have walked away from the car.
That's
Like, who
crazy.
was he
2
partying with?
hours on the scene. I want to hear that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, and
Like, was he just chilling right there?
must have went to
Like,
sleep.
the mugshot didn't look good. Like some of my
Oh
friends,
yeah,
No.
dude. He got that
No.
mugshot. And that means that mugshot was at least 3 hours after he parked there, which
Yeah.
means
That
unless he was
means he
just
was
sitting there drinking in the car.
Faded
Yeah,
as
'cause-
fuck.
yeah, that's
Did it say
possible.
what he
That's-
blew? Did he?
No,
blow a certain
none
number
of that.
off the
None of
Richter
that.
scale?
That's what I would say. I got hammered after I crashed.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what if he's just sitting right there with the
hire a
in the
good
car?
lawyer.
Just,
He might be all right.
Man, well, I've heard that many times out here in Vegas. People do this: go pass out in the car in the garage. You still get a DUI.
yeah, as long as
Yeah.
if the keys are in the ignition.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that was a
he
good
looks
night.
faded.
That was a long night.
I'm gonna say he got drunk after he crashed.
Yeah, right?
His friend.
Yeah.
Or it's just
Yeah, so it's just like when I see this, and we're seeing this with a lot of these young players. It's like where in the what I think it is they all maybe think they're going to tell on each other, so they go out by themselves.
that's.
Just
I mean,
to
that-
kind
that-
of blend
yeah.
in or whatever.
I feel like they're, but
I'm
but
like,
regardless,
still
somebody
Still
got like
still have some friends.
other
though,
friends.
right?
Yeah, you're
No.
not. I know he wasn't just out
I
by
know-
himself
I know,
driving
yeah.
around town drinking all night.
There's been a few times when I went to drive home. My friends are like, "Hell no, I'm
Like,
driving
yeah,
you
like,
home. I'm
yeah.
calling you an Uber." I'm like, "All right, I'll get my car tomorrow."
Or
Because
did-
you listen if your friend tells you that. You're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, he obviously thinks I'm too drunk. I better not get in the car."
Well, that's what they say. I mean, now that there's Lyft and Uber, like
There's no excuses. Yeah, it's
Get
not-
a DUI. That's very what is it called? I don't even want to say immature. That's irresponsible. Irresponsible.
Because people don't want to go home and go back and get their car the next day. But
That's what
it's a
I
lot
think. That's
better
what it
than
is. Like I'm gonna be
DUI.
hungover in the morning. I don't have to pick up my
I know
car.
you're thinking like,
You're
"Ah, I don't wanna
I'm not
get
that
it,"
bad.
But it's just not the.
Yeah.
You got to know when you're past that line. Like clearly, he was past that line where it shouldn't have been.
But
done.
it's like every time we've been out, including last Tuesday,
I don't know what you're talking about. Plead the fifth.
yeah, I mean, we're with somebody that can step in and drive. Or I've always been the type that even if me and the other guys drive, you want to drive?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
You want to drive? Go ahead. Cool. But no, that's crazy, man. That's I would love to see what Marshawn said if he answered any questions or if he said the same.
We have to
answer.
have update next week. It doesn't look like he could have answered any questions at that point. He
But-
probably just wanted to go to sleep.
He was on beast mode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was probably his only response.
They didn't say it was his second one, so being that it's Las Vegas, I think they'll give him a little pat and he'll be on his way.
Yeah, he'll be able to afford a good lawyer. I'm sure that'll help, and
Yeah,
still be
they're
a pain in the ass.
I was gonna say that a car service would have been cheaper than a lawyer, but
you actually know this I call him the GOAT host out here, the Noah Ortiz. And the reason I call him the GOAT is he was living with me for a little while, but he had 4 DUIs.
Oh Jesus!
And he's still fucking driving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, 4 DUIs in Detroit, where I'm from. 2 DUIs, you're in fucking.
yeah, you can't fuck around with
Dude,
that.
my dad got a DUI at 40 years old and 60, 20 years apart.
Damn.
And they made him do 10 days in jail. And I'm like, here's Noah Ortiz, 4th DUI, still driving.
I remember moving to Vegas from Cali, and
They let
the
you
radio
slide out
station
here.
I work for, they were like, "Oh, as long as you don't have more than 2 DUIs, like you could be on our insurance." I'm like, "What? Like, what do you mean? Like, if you have one, like anywhere else, you're just like, oh, it's Vegas, it's cool, like you're good."
Canada won't even let you in the country if a DUI.
Yeah, like,
I have
yeah,
friends
yeah.
that gonna come out there. It's like, oh, I got DUI. I can't visit Canada.
Yeah.
So would they not let you fight out there if you had a DUI?
Yeah, you'd have to get like special approval. Which when I fought out there, I had to, not because I had a DUI, for other shit I did. Like when I was young, I had to get special approval to fight. Like the UFC had to like. I I forget who they call, like a governor had to say. It was like a pain in the
Someone
ass.
has to like pledge for you or
I
like
didn't even-
step up and be
yeah,
like,
I didn't have that bad of a criminal record. It's
Right.
like sealed shit from like when I was a teenager.
yeah.
And they have like they can get your like juvenile record because they share like Homeland Security. So they're pulling up stuff when I was like 17. I'm like, what
Like
the
when you were
fuck?
6 months old, you
Yeah, like I was 17. That was a long time ago. You're like trying to judge me from then.
Yeah, I lived in Detroit, so the big thing there was you could drink in Windsor at 18, so we'd go across that bridge. And what was funny was coming back, they always made you, no matter how fucked up you were, if a guy was passed out, you had to say citizenship.
Oh,
So
shit.
you had to get the drunk guy to say US.
slap him
Yeah,
in his
you had to
face.
just like, you got to say US. And I mean, they would literally hold you there until the
Damn.
guy said it. So it was
Oh, wow.
kind of crazy. But yeah, Jake, you've had some big time fights, my man. I was looking at your record the other day. I saw you got Carlos Condit. You got him. You got Paul Daly a win. You got a win over Robbie Lawler, Jason Mayhem Miller. The biggest one, the shocking one to me, and it was shocking at the time, and it's still shocking now, is the Dan Henderson one.
Yeah,
because
I moved up a weight too.
I'm like, oh my god. I mean, even all these guys right down to St. Pierre. I see you got to win over Damian Maia, which is huge in the jiu-jitsu world. But even with St. Pierre, it didn't impress me as much as like, holy fuck, you beat Dan Henderson like that.
Yeah,
was that
that
not
was,
supposed to happen?
No, I was a big underdog. I mean, I believed in myself. I was like, that was the time of my career when I was just laser focused, and that's all I did was train. I mean, I'd party a little bit between, but like my whole life revolved around it. So I went out there
That guy
planning on
was a
beating his ass. He was tough
fucking
though. That's
beast, man.
that's the hardest I've ever been hit. I was actually fully dropped twice
That's
the
what
first round. But
yeah,
I
I
was
was
just,
watching that, and
Yeah.
I saw something funny. What did you? They said you got dropped, and what did your corner
Oh,
tell you?
I mean, and I go in the round and I go, hey, did I get dropped or slip? Because I got hit so hard I didn't know. My corner goes, oh, you just slipped. It's cool. So the funny part was,
full of shit.
the funniest part was I didn't watch the fight till a week later. I was telling everyone for a week, when they got like, oh, I can't believe you got dropped. That came up. I'm like, nah, bro, I just slipped.
You're like,
And
yeah,
everyone-
whatever,
The thing
motherfucker.
is, hardly no one called me out. They just kind of
Really?
they just kind of look at me like I was stupid. And I was adamantly being like, nah. A couple guys would be like, no, you got dropped. And I'd be like, no, bro, I got slipped.
Like they told me.
I went and watched it. I was pissed. I called my corner. Why the fuck did you guys not tell me? They're like, oh, that was funny.
But that was actually a really good thing because that could have did
Yeah,
something.
it
with the
mentally
confidence.
like keep you going. Like, all right, I'm
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think it was wrong with them. I just think they should have told me that night instead of
Yeah.
making me make a fool of myself for 2 weeks, telling
was-
everyone I slipped.
Was that fight after he had KO'd Bisbee?
Yeah, so that was he had that flying Superman punch, one of the most brutal KOs in MMA.
Yeah.
So I remember when I got dropped, when I thought I slipped, I looked up and see Henderson, and I'm just thinking, oh man, don't get Michael Bisping.
Yeah.
So I just started. I was hurt, but I just started moving. If I keep moving, he can't knock me out.
Yeah, that guy. What was crazy about that fight is I watched that whole. I think it was the Ultimate Fighter with him and Bisbing, and I just hated the Bisbing. And when that happened that night, I was at my house and I was like, "Oh my god!" And they were like, Dan Henderson's having his after party at some little bar that was at the what was that? Where Park MGM was? What was that called back there before?
Oh,
Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Monte Carlo.
So I'm like, dude, I gotta go shake this guy's hand, man. He fucking shut that guy's fucking mouth. And literally, I go and I park in the parking garage there, and it's like nobody really goes to Monte Carlo. And I get out, and he's fucking getting out of the car right next to me. At the same time, I was like, damn.
Did you give him a hug?
No.
Yeah, I actually like Bisping. I know a lot of guys don't, but
No,
he's always been,
I like
he's
him
always been
now.
a friend of
Back,
mine.
back then at the time, I just it was the whole the London accent and
Yeah.
whatever. But no, moving forward from that day forward, I really like him too. I
Yeah,
think
he
hilarious.
used to be a lot more arrogant and stuff. But
Yeah.
even at his most arrogant, I still got along with him. But I remember a lot of people would always be like, "Oh, I can't stand that guy. He's a prick." But I'm like, "Hey, he always treats me good, and I think he's funny."
That's-
and
yeah, that's
we
what I
got in
thought.
trouble together a few times here in Vegas. He's
I
the
was
guy who
gonna
shouldn't
say,
live here.
he's a drinker.
Yeah, he should not live in Vegas.
So I saw in an interview that you said Chuck Liddell got you into UFC fighting.
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen?
I met him in college on San Luis Obispo, and I seen Chuck. He's got it was before he was really famous. He had the mohawk, the
yeah.
Liddell hawk, he had like Kempo tattoo. And I was a wrestler. I'm like, who's this dork? So I go and like talk to him. I think actually my wrestling coach knew him. Like, oh, I'm gonna train with this dude. So he brings me in. I'm thinking like, oh, I'm gonna smoke this dork karate guy. I go take him down, and he just beat the living crap out of me. Just dropped me with liver shots. Just
Yeah.
and I'm just like, okay, apparently this guy's the real deal. So I got hooked after that. Started just bugging Chuck, following him around, being like, hey, can I come train with you? And he just kept, I think I probably bugged him in the beginning, but eventually he started inviting me to come train with him everywhere, and got hooked from there.
And you like did a fight, and you were like,
Yeah, hooked.
yeah.
So who did he bring you in like under his type of management
Yeah.
wing or anything? Or you
No,
just
because he was really focused on himself. So I wouldn't say Chuck was ever my trainer. He was more like my mentor, because he was just trying to focus on his own career. But I just pestered him and followed him around and kind of learned by watching him and getting the work ethic.
Was he
Yeah.
like open to like
Oh, he was
teaching you and,
yeah,
and
he was
helping
very-
you at least
yeah.
with advice and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
he was very helpful. I said it wasn't my coach, but he did help coach me. He would give
He
me
wasn't like,
advice.
get the fuck out of my way,
No.
leave me alone.
How much
yeah.
did
I think maybe the first couple weeks.
Yeah,
God,
then he was
this
like,
kid-
all right, this kid's
Yeah.
dedicated. Like I could
yeah,
give him
at
a
first
little.
he's like, oh, this little punk keeps coming back.
Like, I
I
already
was
beat his
a
ass.
punk at the time, but then I think he saw that I was coming in serious, so he's like, all right, this guy, like, I'll let him start training with me.
Yeah.
I could tell that, I could tell the first
I'm
few
sure he's
weeks
right.
he's
Like, oh, he's
skeptical.
dedicated. Like, at least you're not gonna be bullshitting with wasting his time.
I could start telling when we started warming up, when then he would call me. I think that was more calling. He'd call me first, like, hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna come train here. I'm like, okay, I guess he respects me finally.
yeah. You
Well,
know,
what did he at the time you met him? What did he weigh?
Probably 220. So he's like 2 weight classes above me. So,
So
that
he was fighting 205 in the
Yeah.
UFC. Yep.
Yeah, I think pretty much all of his career he was 205. He might have done a couple at heavyweight. Like, I'm not even sure if he's done that. Maybe like Pride or something. But his majority of his career. And he's the first person I ever knew to get famous. That was a good model to see like how little Chuck changed, because it was
Oh,
like
Right, because in Hollywood, I remember I was working at Exchange LA. I was like a promoter, and he would come in, and he
Yeah.
would like everyone would be like, "Oh, this is a UFC fighter," and he would get pretty drunk.
yeah, he partied, but
To a party.
yeah, I mean, he started partying more, but never changed his like down to earth personality.
Right.
So remember, I moved, started training at a different gym. I didn't see Chuck for like a year. Then I bumped into him. He was super famous, so I'm like all acting a little weird. He's like, "Oh, we're going to this Hugh Hefner's party." We show up at the party, and then they're like, "Well,
been to one
Chuck
of
can
those.
come in, but your two friends can't." And Chuck just goes like, "Fuck you guys." I was like so surprised seeing that. I was kind of wake up.
You're like, okay,
"Oh,
bye.
he's a-
like I'm out.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna walk in without me. But the
Yeah.
fact that he's just like, I ain't going out with my friends. We ended up all getting in the party when Chuck told me to fuck off. But it
Yeah,
was
he was
just-
like, let us in, or I'm gonna fuck you up.
that was a good example of seeing like, okay, that's how you're supposed to act when you get famous,
Yeah,
not be
yeah.
like a prick
Right.
to your old friends.
Dude,
He's
they-
like the first like fighter rock star.
He was the first across to mainstream celebrity. I think Tito was a big star, but not quite mainstream. And
Right.
Chuck crossed over to that like actual celebrity.
Yeah, who was his trainer? The one guy. I just always seen him with one guy.
John Hackelman.
Yeah.
That dude's a nut in a good way.
Is he still? Is he with anybody now? Is he still training people? I haven't seen him. after.
He's more of a kickboxing trainer, so he's trained some good kickboxers. Oh, actually, he trains Glover Textora.
Oh,
I think Glover doesn't live there with him, but he was his trainer for a while, and I saw him in his corner for his last fight. So I imagine John probably went out there and helped him train. So that was because
it.
Glover, it was
But
crazy.
yeah, that guy really stood out. He kind of looked like like Chuck in a way, like they'd be related or something. But I never seen him after that.
Yeah,
So,
he's a crazy Kempo guy from Hawaii, but his style of Kempo is like boxing, kickboxing mixed. You see
Yeah.
Kempo, you think of the more traditional, katas, but his is like brutal, like beat your ass Kempo.
yeah. I saw you're from Tennessee.
I was born there, but I moved to California as a baby, so I don't really.
What
I don't
part of
remember
California?
it.
Right to the Bay.
It's a small town outside of Stockton, the 209 area, that little shithole. So I got
Okay.
out, but it's
Okay.
not a bad place to grow up.
yeah.
Is that where you met Nick and Nate?
Yeah, well, I actually moved to San Luis Obispo, then I kind of moved back near that area, and we started training Cesar Gracie's gym, which was
Okay.
kind of. I moved to San Francisco. They were in Stockton. That was kind of in the middle, so we'd go out there and train every day.
What was your first like style of? I know you've kind of done a little bit of everything, but what was your first style of fighting like when you first got into it?
Wrestling was my background, but then
Mm-hmm.
I started training jiu-jitsu and kickboxing right away because I was training jiu-jitsu, and then with Chuck, obviously trying to learn kickboxing.
So was that? I mean, was there anything that drew you to like a different style, or was it just kind of like who you were around and what was
Yeah, I think who I was around, and for whatever reason, I kind of naturally picked up jiu-jitsu really quick. I think easier than wrestling. It just kind of came natural
Yeah,
to
I
me.
see
Yeah.
you're still doing these jiu-jitsu competitions and winning.
Yeah,
against
like
really
said.
good guys.
Yeah, like
Still to
I'm
this
like
day.
a retired fighter just screwing off and going against world champions.
Yeah,
like,
I
fuck
know.
it.
I got nothing to prove
Yeah.
anymore, so you're like, let me keep going.
Yeah, and winning a lot of the matches is the crazy part.
Yeah, no,
But-
I've been watching those, and I'm like, man, you're still.
Yeah, it's
Still
a
taking
good
in.
way for me to stay involved in the sport and like keep myself in shape. So like if I set a grappling match, it's not the same stress as a fight, but it's like, okay, I got to get in kind of shape at least.
Yeah,
Kind of seem like a big brother type to the Diaz brothers.
I mean, kind of. I mean, maybe it's like Nate a little bit. I feel like me and Nick started together at the exact same time, so we were
Okay.
kind of.
yeah. I was
like,
gonna ask because I saw you held 5 belts in 5 different companies. You obviously fought for the belt in the UFC against Saint Pierre, but were you guys close in weight? I mean, was there ever a time you guys could have almost had to fight each other?
Yeah, me and Nick were the same weight, but we,
Yeah, no, I
we never
wondered
even
that.
discussed it. It was just known we were too close and we would never fight. It was then we didn't
Okay.
talk about it. We just knew we'd never fight each other.
So were you Strikeforce champion prior to Nick or after?
What happened actually with Strikeforce is, I can't remember who signed there first, but we were both in Strikeforce at the same time and weighing the same, which is why I figured I'd jump up and fight 185. Nick was fighting 170 because it's like I figured we could always change weights, and Gilbert and Nate were the same weight too, but they one of them would change a weight or they'd be in different shows. It was just known we'd never fight each other.
But what was it? Did you guys ever like discuss it at all, or was it just like a kind of a thing where it's like
it was-
it's just
Did
I think it was
anybody
just
ever
assumed,
ask?
you
Did
know?
any of these
I
think guys
goofy
did.
I mean,
promoters?
I would feel like like a promoter would like, yo, I got to get this
Right,
done. Like, I
right.
want
Yeah.
this fight to happen.
Well, I remember a reporter asking Nick if he'd fight his brother or something. If he was
Oh,
Zach
yeah, I
responsive,
saw that.
basically
Yeah.
go fuck yourself.
Yeah. That's
Why would you ask such a
hell
stupid
no.
question? Of course I'm not gonna fight my brother.
Yeah, that's
So with the jiu-jitsu, the American jiu-jitsu that you kind of created and put together, what's the difference there between
Yeah, the biggest thing is when I first started training, it was jiu-jitsu was all gi, wrestling was no gi, and jiu-jitsu is more about waiting, chilling for the guy to make a mistake. But I'm realizing jiu-jitsu needs to mix the two, where the wrestling where you're trying to force something to happen, and the jiu-jitsu
yeah.
where you're being more technical and
You're
patient.
like you just want to go. Let's
Yeah.
just go at it.
And originally, like back the time too, I got promoted to pro belt, and they're like, "Well, it can't be a real belt without a gi." It's not like that anymore. So I'm like, "All right, fuck you. I train American Jiu-Jitsu then." And I was a blue belt tapping out like top black belts, and these dudes are trying to be like, "Well, it's not a real belt." It's like, "Well, I just beat your dude."
yeah, well, fuck you. I
Oh,
won.
so
I won.
that's what I was wondering. So that's the AJJ.
Yeah,
So
so, that's
I
why
was
launched
wondering
AJJ.
that. So BJJ and AJJ.
Yeah, originally I launched it as
Okay.
kind of a joke, because I say "fuck you" to Brazilians, and then it kind of became a
Ah,
thing. But it is
I was
the
wondering that.
style really is different with the mixing wrestling, no gi, the pressures. There really is a lot of differences between American Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And sometimes
Yeah.
Brazilians will give me shit for it, but it's like, okay, Jiu-Jitsu is actually Japanese. Is the funny part. They stole it and modified it.
Yeah, and just put their name on it, and now
Yeah, and they'll be like, "You stole it from us." I'm like,
it's not even yours. So
Yeah, in
like,
Japanese.
they could be mad at me, but not you.
Yeah, and Japanese guys never said anything.
Yeah, I was reading. Who was the guy you had fought a guy on a short notice, a fight out in Japan, and he was
Oh, yeah.
he was ranked number 2, I think. you
Yeah,
said, and
that was
you were
high,
unranked.
Yeah,
and you just went out there.
Hayato Sakurai, which unfortunately
Yeah.
is not a huge name now, but at the time he was ranked number 2 with Anderson Silva, was the only guy ranked above him.
Yeah.
They gave me a short notice fight, thinking like they wanted a tough opponent, but somebody they thought was going to lose, because they're like, "All right, we'll bring this American in. We'll give him 2 weeks notice so he's not in shape."
Yeah.
But they didn't know I was already training my ass off. I think I just helped Nick train for a fight, so I'm like, I'm in shape.
That's what I was gonna say. Was it like you just happened to be training at that time, or was it just
I would always stay in shape.
okay?
but I think
so you
I think
drink a little,
yeah.
party a little, whatever. But
Yeah, it was a drink, but I was
You,
still
you weren't
training
just
every day.
letting yourself go. Like
I
I
was-
don't give a fuck. I don't
yeah.
have a fight.
Even if I was partying, I'd train every day, so
Yeah.
the partying
Oh,
didn't
so
really
you-
affect me the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
And I think Nick,
Sweat
I
it
think
out.
Nick had just had a fight, so I was there sparring him every day for 3 or 5
Oh,
rounds.
that's just as good. Yeah. It's just
So
you're
they
ready to go.
they hit you up on 2 weeks notice. You went out there. This guy was number 2, and
Yeah.
you just took him out. And how did the fans
Yeah.
respond to that out there? And
I mean, they obviously weren't happy. They wanted him to win.
Like, yeah. Did you rush home? Or
No, Japanese fans are super polite. So
yeah.
it's not
It's like it's kind of a different culture out there. They're not like
not like Brazil where they chant "You will die."
yeah, do they do that with everybody? The Brazilians.
If you're fighting a Brazilian, I think if it's a big name Brazilian, but honestly, it's people get more intimidated in that what they should. They'll chant "You will die" in Brazil, but they're actually extremely respectable.
they're not gonna like try and shank you on the way
If
out.
you understand their culture, it's actually they'll like in big masses, they'll yell at you, but they won't come in your personal space and disrespect you. Because their culture, if you do that, you're going to get punched in the face. So they know if they come to you and talk shit, you're going to hit them. It's not like Ireland where some drunk dude will come up and be like, your boy's an idiot. And you're like, you're about to get dropped.
Yeah, you walk away.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What was I gonna say? Yeah, it always seems like these Japanese fighters. They always, I think was it Gomi.
Yeah. He
You,
was really
Nick,
good.
and Nate fought him. Didn't you?
I didn't fight
you
Gomi,
didn't fight him.
but
Okay. Nick and Nate both did.
I think just Nick.
Just Nick.
Nick,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm
he
probably
was,
getting them confused, but
they both fought some Japanese star. But yeah, Nick smoked him here.
that's what I always feel
Pride.
like when these Japanese stars come out. The American guy goes over there and just destroys them.
Yeah.
I know the Korean Zombie did, pretty decent, but normally those type of guys don't do well.
Early on, Japan had some really, really good fighters, but they haven't quite kept up with the modern training methods. I feel like they've fallen behind. But early with they had Gomi was killing it. Sakuraba was one of the biggest stars in the world for a while. They called him the Grace Killer. I think he beat 4 Gracies along with other good guys.
Oh wow!
Oh,
They had Sato, Aoki. They used to have a string of great fighters and still have good fighters, but they're not one of the. Before it was probably America and Brazil were battled for number 1, and Japan was number 3. And now Japan's not even in the top 10, if 20 in the world.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, we're not sure how they fell off so hard, but they definitely didn't evolve with the training methods.
Yeah, are you seeing a lot of Russian people coming this way?
The Russians are
Coming in strong, huh?
I think they might be number 2 now. It's been Brazil and America fighting for the top positions, but I think Russians might have passed the Brazilians up. They're tough.
What do you think changes that? Like, what's the?
I just think it got really popular there, and Russians were already
So they're just more excited about it, and
they have good work ethics. They're tough. They have they already have good wrestling there, good kickboxing, good sambo. So they had all the martial arts.
yeah.
So they just had to combine them together because, mixed martial arts. So you have guys that are good at all these different arts, and they figured out how to combine them.
Yeah.
And now, a lot of these guys, especially out of Dagestan and Chechnya, they have some really good wrestlers.
Yeah, you think Khabib's
Yeah, I'm
gonna
like,
bring
that's
them
where
with his
Khabib
league?
is.
It's gonna make it a lot more popular, get a lot more guys over here.
Man, yeah, I think so. He pays really well. It's a big show, so it's I know they're getting really good viewership too. I think it's a whole part of the world with Russia, the Middle East. It's a whole new network fighting's blown up in.
Yeah, has there been some big fighters to go over to his league, or is he getting people at the tail end of their careers, or
There's more. Well, there's
is
been,
Uncle Dana blocking them?
so far it's been guys towards the tail end of their careers and young up and comers that aren't huge name yet. But they have some great fighters and they pay well, so they have a lot of potential.
Yeah. How do you think Dana feels about that on the low? Do you think he's happy for Khabib?
He never likes competition. I think they're not at a point yet where they're a serious threat.
Yeah.
Couple
But
times,
it's creeping up there.
There was, I think, twice where they had a serious threat. Once was Pride. They bought Pride. The other time was Strikeforce. They brought Strikeforce.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's
They bought their competition just to kill it. It's ruthless, but I guess smart.
Yeah. No, it's kind of crazy to see how the UFC's evolved. Something that's really crazy to me is there's still no insurance in the UFC.
No, they provide insurance now.
Okay, because I always wondered, hearing these stories, I'm like, how can you like Frank and Lorenzo own all these casinos and their employees are all insured? But I'm like, how can you own a league like that and not have insurance?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. For a bunch of years, there was no insurance. But I think
So what would happen?
It's a
if
crazy
you-
sport to
so if-
not have insurance in.
I heard were you insured the night of the fight, and that's
we were
it?
always insured the night of the fight, but they didn't have out of season insurance. But they added that now to their fighters at least.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah, no.
No,
So
no.
there's, obviously, I wish the UFC would pay more, but they have, progressed. There are guys making really good money there now, multi-millions, but there's also still a lot of guys that are barely getting by there. So it's it would be
that's
good if they paid a little more.
That's what I've always seen, and I'm like, when you sell a company for $4 billion,
Yeah.
somebody making some
There's a check somewhere. Just a
And
check
you got
that
a guy
deposited.
you got to make like 20 grand and a 4 billion cars. Yeah, it's a little bit, maybe
A
pay
little
a
off.
more.
Something's
yeah.
off.
How do you feel the industry is now from when you got into it?
Man, it's a lot of changes, both good and bad. Overall, good because there's money and fame. When I got into it, it was no money, no fame.
Right,
That's
right.
Right, yeah.
Over here, just
Trying
over here
things
sweating my
out.
ass off in the ring.
The thing I liked about it back then, though, was everyone that did it actually loved to fight. They weren't doing it trying to be cool, which you run into now. So the gyms were hardcore. It was the
So it
training
wasn't
was
the
brutal.
flashy.
I was gonna say because I feel like whenever that money comes into it, it's like people trying to do it for either the fame or the money. And obviously, you've been doing it for so long and so many, different types of fighting that you have a true passion for it. Did you see that as it got more popular, people that shouldn't have been involved in it? Maybe just thinking like, oh, I can make easy money here.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because like I said, when I did it, there was no real fame or money. So people that did it,
you really wanted to do that. Like you're
yeah.
die hard for it.
But you definitely see a lot of guys coming in. They're trying to be cool and they don't quite have that edge. You know, you hit them a couple
their ass
times.
beat. Yeah, they're like, I'm done.
Yeah, you see them broken. You're like, dude, this guy should find a new career.
Yeah. Like,
So what would happen? So if you were in a training camp, obviously you got to pay people, and say you got a week out from a fight and you just got hurt, you still had to pay people. You had to pay for your own injury.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a tough situation. It really depends on the arrangement. In my situation, a lot of my trainers, there's a couple trainers that I would pay, but a lot of the guys was, like Nick would help me, Nate would help me, Gil would help me. We would all help each other, so it made a lot more sense for us not to charge each other.
because you're all in the same position where
so
it's like,
yeah, needing help, we're clearly not going to charge each other. It doesn't make any sense. So I was fortunate with that. There would be a couple of times, I only pulled out of one fight for an injury. And my trainer,
that was a back injury you're talking about.
Yeah.
What happened?
It was just kind of randomly.
Like in training though, got hurt in training.
Yeah, it went out in training, but my dumb ass kept training, thinking
You're like, I'll be good.
Well, because I was always like, well, if I'm hurt, what if I'm hurt in a fight? So I just went and finished the whole workout.
Yeah, I have to keep fighting.
Which I should have stopped right away, and I've been all right. And then I stopped, and all of a sudden I couldn't move. My whole back locked up, and I'm like, oh shit.
How frustrating was that for you? I mean, especially how close was it to the fight?
It was like the week before. It was really frustrating because I've never pulled out. I mean, I fought hurt a couple times when I probably should have pulled out, but that one was just.
It was that bad. I mean, obviously, like you say. Like
yeah.
it's your life.
I've probably seen a lot of guys.
Yeah,
a lot of guys go in there really hurt.
Yeah, I mean it's because you don't get paid if you don't fight. So it's like plus you don't want to disappoint people by pulling out. You don't want to disappoint your opponent. You're like the promotion. So sometimes you go like, well, I'm a little hurt, but I should go out there and just fight anyways.
Deal with it. Yeah,
it's tough, especially if you're in a situation where you need money. I was always smart and never blew my money, but I know some of these guys, they go and blow all the money and they get flat broke and they're like, oh shit, I gotta fight.
Don't matter, broken foot, like I'm fighting.
Exactly. Well, if I don't get paid, I ain't gonna have money to pay my rent. So it's like I gotta go in there and fight hurt.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that has to be.
That's almost a dangerous situation. Like, because if you're really in that situation, like you shouldn't fight. Like that could be life or death.
Oh, exactly. I mean, luckily I've never been in that situation. I'm always smart about things, but I've seen friends in that situation before, and you're like, oh, you should pull out, and you're like, I can't. I have
So when you've been injured before, did you have people in your corner kind of telling you like, hey, this probably shouldn't have happened?
Yeah, I've had friends try to be like, you probably shouldn't fight, but I'm stubborn.
Fuck you, like I'm good.
I'm limping, but I'm like, I can go in there and fight.
I can't walk, but I'm gonna go box.
Yeah, I'm pretty stubborn.
I have a question on what your perspective was. Remember that fight with the big brawl?
Yeah, so that was a Dan Henderson fight
on pay-per-view.
You got that Dan Henderson picture? You?
What was that?
Yeah, was that the first time on national TV?
Yeah.
Right?
No, there have been a few on CBS.
Okay.
Everyone says it because
yeah, so that was the Dan Henderson one.
Yeah, because the announcers, what do you say? He's like, these things happen sometimes in fights. So something they
don't. They took it all off. So now when you try to go watch it, there's just music over because they don't want you to hear what the newspaper.
I know it's got to be somewhere. Someone's got it somewhere.
I saw the camera guy out there. He's running around.
But that totally was not expected.
No, because me and Mayhem we're on the best terms.
Right.
And he comes hopping in, jumps in my face, so my natural reaction is just to punch him.
So you had a win over him prior.
Yeah, and he was mad. I had a couple wins over him because I stole a couple girls from him too. So he was mad about that.
So this is what I saw.
I was like 3-0 against him at that point.
Yeah, so I saw
one fight, 2 girls.
You had the epic brawl, and then I was wondering because as I was flipping through stuff, I saw that you actually went on his bully beatdown thing.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, he wasn't really in charge of picking the people. It was a producer. So the producer hit me up. I think that was actually after
they wanted that.
So,
they wanted that drama.
Yeah, we didn't like each other at the time, but we just kind of avoided each other. And it's kind of like, I'm getting paid. He's getting paid. What are we going to do,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, I saw that.
We're not going to fight right on the show. And, especially him. He was the one that had the, I'm sure he was getting paid pretty well. He didn't want to lose his job, so he wasn't going to mouth off to me. Yeah. I wouldn't really care that much because it wasn't that much money. For me, I would have punched him.
Were those real?
That's hilarious.
Were those real bullies? I mean, do you think
they didn't? They kind of just sent in tapes, so some of them were probably real. Most of them
Just trying to get on
fake.
TV. Yeah.
I think the guys wanted to get on TV for the most part.
Yeah.
It's guys that trained a little bit were probably a lot tougher than average. They're like, oh, I can go there and do okay at least.
Just to get on TV. I might lose, but I still was on
a lot
on
of
the
them probably
show.
thought they'd do better than they did. They're probably like, oh, I can not get tapped out for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're just like, nah, you can't.
That's what I think. People don't realize the work that goes into that, and the strength and the endurance. Really, it's the endurance.
Tough, yeah.
Yeah, I saw the guy that you were against on the show. I mean, he looked all right for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, no, like,
he did good. He did good for a second. I mean,
I actually did a couple of them, and I also shot the pilot when it didn't get aired. So I went against a couple guys, and all of them felt like they trained. They weren't good, but they felt like they at least had like a little bit. They'd wrestled, or they had like 6 months jiu-jitsu. Like I talked to some of the guys after, and they admitted it, but they don't put it on the thing. So it's
because they want to be like they want to.
Yeah, so you're not fighting like expert guys, but they're dudes that'll beat up dudes in the street. They're they know a little bit.
Yeah, big difference though from a street fight to a.
So I think they think they're like
playground.
Yeah, they probably want some street fights, and they think I can give this guy a decent fight. It's kind of like what I thought when I went and sparred Chuck. Like,
I'm gonna be
there's
good.
levels to this shit.
oh my god,
I'm gonna be good. So in all the fights that you've had, like what's been the take for you on like having beef with someone, like you said, like there's a females involved or whatever. Like what percentage would you say is like like you guys actually like fuck this dude versus like all right, it's just a paid fight.
Yeah, most of the guys I fought, I had nothing against.
Right, because
it's. But I would kind of force myself to hate them. It's hard to get in there. And
well,
fight
I mean,
someone.
that's the thing. Yeah, it's like it's like you're just beating up some dude for no reason.
So
Like,
you start faking it. Well,
do you feel like that makes you fight better? Like like if someone's talking shit or whatever, like
for me, I
it
think
makes
it
them fight
does,
better,
yeah.
right?
Some people don't need that. For me, it's hard to be like, oh, I like this guy. He's my friend. I'm gonna go and fight him.
Yeah, like hey, like I'm just gonna fight him. He's cool, but I'm gonna beat his ass.
That's happened a bunch.
Yeah, some dudes will be hanging out before a fight, chilling. I'm
you're
gonna
like,
fight
no,
this
like,
dude.
yeah,
I ain't
but
trying to like hang out with him.
kill him.
Yeah, did I hear? I mean, I thought I had heard that Nick was pretty good friends with BJ and was kind of surprised at the time that BJ Penn took the fight or sent him the fight. Like he was kind of upset because they kind of were.
Yeah,
friends.
I think so. He didn't like fighting a friend, but it was a big money fight. He wanted the fight, so what was he gonna do?
Well, how would you feel about that? Like if there was someone, I mean, obviously Nick and Nate is kind of a different thing. There's like a family tie there, but it's like if someone you've always been cool with and the offer was there, were you good with it?
Yeah, I mean, the only guy I wouldn't fight, like I said, would be Nick, Nate, and Gil. But I purposely tried not to actually get close to any fighters that were close
because
to my weight.
just because that might come
so
around.
That's why I become fighters with guys like Bits being weight above
Like people
me,
that'll never be in your
BJ
class.
Penn,
Yeah.
which I guess I could have fought him the same weight because he moved up to weight. But most of these guys that were like in my weight, I would just kind of purposely be an asshole to them because I had to feel a little animosity towards them.
Yeah, it's gonna make you a
That
better
makes
fighter.
sense.
at the
Yeah,
end
it's
of
like
the
how
day.
you be buddies with some dude, and then
Thanks.
like, oh, now you got to go in there and try to.
Yeah, we had dinner last night, but now I'm gonna beat his ass.
You literally got the reps
Make
don't
him
stop
bleed.
it. You're literally trying to kill the dude.
Yeah.
How
gotta
was,
have that
how was it
mentality.
during that? That was such a crazy time, the first go around with Nate and Connor. I mean, do you guys give Connor credit? I feel like he kind of changed the landscape, meaning he started getting fighters paid more. That was one good thing, I guess, that I think
Yeah.
he brought to the table.
I mean, I certainly don't love Connor, but overall, it was.
Well, that's what I wondered.
he's
like,
a punk.
Right.
like outside of there, do you guys
He
still
was
like?
good for the sport. I mean, he blew it up, got more eyeballs, made Nate a shitload of money. So it's. I don't hate the guy. I just think he's kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, no, I
Prior to the fights,
I really don't like
just
him
in
leading
general.
up to the fight,
Yeah,
'cause-
yeah.
Well, it's kind of.
But
like
I'm saying that did that fight change your? Did you even have him on your radar prior to that?
Oh
I mean,
yeah, he got really big before that fight, so I was watching me like, oh, he's pretty good. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
like, but I was watching me like he ain't got no jiu-jitsu though, and Nate exposed that.
yeah, no, that was a man. That was a crazy fight. I feel like that's the same scenario that. They're throwing him in there with the what's his name?
I can't even say his name. Cosmod.
Cosmod.
Yeah.
So, and what's crazy is you read on all this stuff. It's a landslide. It's kind of like the same stuff they're saying with Connor, and I'm like, this guy doesn't even have that many fights.
Exactly.
I saw on Nate's page he had posted a video of like Gilbert Burns getting knocked out and all these people that he was supposed to fight that he beat getting knocked out and stuff, and it really is irrelevant. So for people to be like counting him out like that, I mean, what do you think of that guy? I mean, you think that guy's a scary guy? You think he's
I think he is extremely good, but to count Nate out is just stupid. He's got so
No,
much
that's
experience. The guy is, I mean, Gilbert Burns is really good. He just beat, but other than that, he had a pretty padded record. He was completely destroying guys, but he wasn't fighting elite people. There's a big difference between the top 5 and 10 versus some dude that just signed to the UFC, and that's the thing. He was like fighting dudes that were like the lower level UFC guys, destroying him.
Yeah. How old is that guy? Is that guy?
Actually, not sure. I would guess.
Can you look up
late
the
20s maybe?
Cosmot? You got that flyer, Hugh? But look him up and see. Yeah, he seems like a young guy. I mean, I see he's little buddies with Till. What do you think of Darren Till? He'd be in your weight class.
Yeah, I like Till more than the guy. I've met him a couple times and hung out. Like I said, he's like I think he's weight above me. He's cool,
Yeah.
but
What happened to him? He just kind of.
Good question. He hasn't fought in a while, huh?
No,
He kinda
I don't
disappeared.
think he just maybe the
Hiding somewhere.
Cosmot will get him back up and going. What did you think of Mike Perry? I thought that guy.
I mean, I don't hate him. I think he's kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
Never thought he was an amazing fighter. He was tough, he's decent and he was scrappy, but I never thought he was extremely talented.
It's crazy that the UFC kept him around as long as they did. Like they just kept giving him chance after chance, where other people, you lose one fight and it's like, boom, you're cut.
Yeah, it's weird. I forget why. I think we were talking shit on Nick, and I told him to fuck off or something, and he just posted something like, "Oh, I'm gonna take out Jake in a grappling match." I'm just like, huh? I text Chael Sonnen right away. I'm like, hey, tell this dork he wants it. Signed it for your show.
Let's go.
Chael called him, texted him. He goes, yeah, the guy won't respond.
Do you feel that these fighters now do that stuff, like try to call guys out that maybe are legends in their own right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of guys, they see like Connor, how much hype he got by talking shit. They're like, oh, if I talk shit, it gets me.
He's the standard.
Yeah, the biggest guy doing that is Dylan Dennis. Not even a good fighter, but he just sits there and just talks shit.
Yeah,
Just gets his buzz up.
That's the other guy we don't like, Domo. That's the guy that could be jumped out of the cage on with the blonde hair.
He's the guy.
Okay,
he's the guy that he jumped out. Yeah, the guy's a
Gotcha.
punk. I beat him in a grappling match too, which is that's like his primary thing, grappling.
What
so I went
was
to his
his
sport and
thing?
beat him.
I saw him in a picture. He had some medals. Did he win was it Pan Am or
And
something?
he actually was extremely talented, but then he kind of like fell off because he won. I think he won worlds. It's like a blue belt, purple belt, and brown belt. I don't know if he won it as a black belt. He was extremely talented. That's like right when I beat him, and then it seemed like he got more into like partying, chasing fame, clout chasing.
He was running around with Connor, right?
Exactly, and he got more stuck to the hype. Well, he also got kicked out of for whatever reason, when he started hanging out with Connor, it completely changed his personality. Because I actually met him before, and he was like a sweet, polite kid. But he started hanging out with Connor, and just completely changed. He was actually kicked out of I don't know if you know Marcelo Garcia. He's like one of the greatest jiu-jitsu guys ever. Not a fighter, but just a guy, extremely one of the nice guys you'll ever meet. Everyone loves him, and Marcelo kicked him out of his gym. You're like, you must have done something bad to have Marcelo kick you out when you're like a top black belt.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Well, so where did I always we hear all the stuff with Cesar Gracie. Where does he fit in with the whole Gracie thing? Because it's like I see Royce, I see obviously what Kron's dad. Was it Hickson or Rickson?
Hickson, yeah.
Hickson, and then it seems like Caesar's like the white guy of the bunch. Like, so where does he fit into the family?
The family's so big and confusing. I don't know. They're like they're like the Marleys of jiu-jitsu. But I know he's all cousins. They're all buddy buddies. Like they're Caesar's a cousin. There's like the brother line, which is like Half, Henzo, Hoist, Hickson. They're all brothers, like 9 brothers, and then Caesar's cousins. So they are related. It gets confusing.
Somehow.
I saw
someone
when Martin was fighting, I was told there's a Heather Gracie.
Yeah.
So there's a girl in the mix somehow.
Yep. There's some girl Gracies too. Most of them aren't that serious in jiu-jitsu, but they follow it. But there's not too many of them that compete like the high level. But it's a large family, and it's
oh my god.
Yeah.
oh wow,
So that's why I always looked at. I'm just like, I know that Kron fought. I think I only seen him fight once in the UFC. Did he fight more times than that?
He fought a couple. He had that loss, and I think he kind of disappeared. I know he's up. He moved to Montana. He's coaching up there, and for whatever he hasn't fought in a few years. I don't know if he's gonna fight again or not, or if he's just kind of over it.
Yeah, because who was the last guy he fought? He fought a good veteran.
It was he lost a close fight to a Mexican guy.
Yeah, he's
brain freezing on his name.
Yeah,
tough fighter.
Yeah, he was at the end of his thing, but I was like, I didn't know if is Kron just more into doing the jiu-jitsu tournaments.
I think so. And he's probably making good money running his school up there in Montana, and maybe just burn. It's a tough sport. It's easy to burn out with it. It's just not just the training; it's the politics behind it. Dealing with the promotions, the contracts. I think he's kind of burnt out and took a break, and I'm not sure if he's coming back or not.
Yeah, what was he? Was he fighting 145?
Yeah, big weight cut too,
Dude,
which that was tough on him.
When I seen him in New York, man, I mean, he's a big
Yeah,
dude.
dude, he was close to my size. I first trained with him, but then he had to shrink up to 45s, and that's it takes a lot out of you when you're dieting like that, running. To lose that kind of weight, you got to probably get up, run 7-8 miles in the morning, and you're not eating.
We
much.
were talking about that earlier, like that. Dropping those weight classes and moving weight classes. I mean, that's like a tool. So, were there any times where you were just like, switching weight classes that you're like, man, this just isn't worth it, or this just is like, I mean, what makes it like, that's like doubling your training almost.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You're killing your body.
Yeah, I spent most of my career at 170, but I went up and did 3 fights at 185s in Strike Force. And then by the third fight, I was tiny at first in the weight, but I was lifting a bunch. So by the time I fought Dan Henderson, I was still a small 85, but I got a lot bigger. And then the UFC signed me, and I wanted to fight GSP, so I had to drop back down.
Right. So I think, going backwards got to be.
So
that's
was
going
that your
backwards got to
first
be
fight
worse.
in the UFC was GSP?
Martin Kampman was the first one.
And
so the
yeah,
weight
that's
cut to
another
that
big
fight
one.
was brutal because I put on so much weight, and I thought it was gonna be easy because before the weight cut wasn't that tough, but I had to put on muscle. So I had to drop 20 pounds in I think like 4 days or something.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, that is not.
I mean, that's got to kill your body on top of the training's already killing you.
You feel like your body goes into shock. So when I went out there and fought Campman, within like a minute, I just felt my whole body seizing up. Somehow I won that fight just off pure,
adrenaline and just like
there's no way I'm
hopes
gonna
and
lose.
dreams.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
best fights, but I managed to scrap it out and win it. And he's a tough fighter, but I'm just like, man, I'm not gonna quit and lose this fight because I knew if I won the fight, it'd be GSP next. So.
For you as a fighter, what like knockout versus decision, like what's your preference, or what feels what feels like a bigger W for you?
Any finish, really,
Yeah, as
But
long as
me
you
being
win.
jiu-jitsu dude, I love tapping dudes, but
Yeah.
TKO knockout feels good too. Obviously, finish dudes,
Yeah.
it's a huge rush.
I mean, do you feel like the training's a waste when it's like a short fight? Like I did all that like for nothing?
there was one stretch, where I think I had like
You
7,
still get the
8
win, but
Yeah, like 7-8 first round fights. I started thinking like I'm training too hard for no reason.
yeah. Like I could have done this. I could have done this
Yeah,
easily
right.
without
But
it. I guess you never know what your opponent's up to and how
Exactly.
they're gonna come in the ring.
I think going into the Henderson fight, I'd had a bunch of like quick finishes, and I'm just getting like, oh, this is easy. And then I go out there and had a 25-minute war, and I'm like, okay, good thing I was training hard. It is frustrating though. You're out running sprints every day, putting in the miles, doing insane cardio, and you go out there for a minute fight. You're like, why was I in such good shape?
Yeah,
I always wondered, like, for these fights where you guys go in there and you win in that first round and it's so quick, the UFC doesn't let you just turn around and do another one. Like, right away, it's like you have to, kind of hang back again.
Yeah, but the training camp still wear you out. So you kind of so that's people don't understand the weight cut, the training camp. So you almost kind of need that break. Once you guys
the fight could be 30 seconds, but you were training for how long?
Exactly.
And
So
I
even
feel
in a
like that's
quick fight-
more wear and tear on your body than the actual fight.
So you still put a lot of stress in your body, and that's why it's so frustrating if an opponent pulls out right before, because you still put the whole stress on your body.
It's almost the same as if
Yeah.
you fought.
and then you don't fight and don't get paid. That's why one reason I didn't want to pull out. It's like disrespectful.
So there's nothing for the if you pull out, your opponent is screwed too.
Yeah, generally, I mean, sometimes you have enough time, they'll replace them, but sometimes
if it's week of,
yeah,
or,
exactly.
yeah.
They generally scrap it.
Man, yeah, see,
sometimes
that's
it's main
bad.
event, they'll pull a backup or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, and that means your opponent don't get paid generally.
Yeah.
If the guy weighs in, I think they get paid their show money now. It wasn't even like that before.
Or but it's even endorsements and stuff like that.
Endorsements won't pay you.
Yeah, because you're never in the ring.
Yeah, so you could put so
you could
a
literally
10-week training camp together, train for like over 2 months, and then not get paid. That happened a few times. You're like, man, I just worked.
Did you ever have any
2 months,
fights
didn't
where
get paid.
your opponent pulled out?
A couple times, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it's frustrating because you put in, like I said, you put a couple months work and like, oh, I ain't getting paid.
You're really like, fuck them.
And then you got your corner and you're like, damn, should I pay my corner? What do I do?
Right, because you've got a whole team
Guy
behind
pull
you.
pads for me every day.
Yeah.
It's like he's put 2 months work in. Like I got to pay him something, not the whole purse, but you feel bad. Like, oh, I better give him something.
Yeah.
Are you
that's
considered
every
retired or
I never officially retired, so I would hop in if there's.
I was just gonna say that was my next question. Who is there someone out there that could pull you in, or is there something that could make you?
Yeah,
more?
for a big name and a good payday, I'd hop in there.
That's what I was gonna say. So is the name bigger or the payday bigger for you? That would make you do it again.
For me, more the name. If I gotta do it, it's gotta
Yeah.
be something to interest me. Obviously, you want money, but I'm lucky where I made good investments and stuff. So
Yeah.
You always want more money, but I don't like need money.
Right. right. So you're not hurting where you're like, fuck, I hope someone wants to fight
if
me.
you needed money, then then you got to
whatever.
fight. But luckily
so for
in
you
that
at this point,
situation,
it'd be just name recognition.
Yeah, someone that'd be fun to beat up.
So are you still training? Or I mean, obviously you stay active.
I train pretty much every day. Actually, hurt my knee like 2 months ago, and I finally just hurt it pretty bad. Like and I just started training again this week, so it feels good to be
active.
Yeah,
in that type of
terrible
activity.
shape though. I was in there training. And I was like, oh my god. I'm like 3 minutes in. I'm like, oh, I'm gassed. It's the worst shape I've been in years.
Yeah.
So I played high school and college soccer, and just the wear and tear that I feel on my body. I'm always like, so coming out of the UFC, how do you feel?
Man, surprisingly pretty good. I mean,
I'm like, how do these guys feel?
Yeah, my neck's a little stiff. I probably need some work on that. But overall, my body feels surprisingly good. Everyone's always talking about being all beat up, but like I still feel healthy.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, you seem to be more of a. I mean, did you go to a lot of wars with people like Nick and Nate? You know, they talk about all this CTE stuff, and you see these boxers later on down the road. I don't feel like the UFC has transitioned yet. It is. Now you're going to get to see Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, Tito. Like, what's going on in their minds 20 years later?
Yeah, I think we're going to have way less CT. I'm not going to say none. We get hit. It does affect us.
Yeah.
But I think there's less for several reasons. One, the smaller gloves are actually better. You're more likely to just get knocked out versus just take headshots. You get hit over and over.
Trauma versus.
Yeah, another thing, they do the standing 8 count in boxing. So you could get dropped. You get dropped in MMA, the guy's going to come in and start hammer fisting you and probably finishing you. Sometimes the guys survive, like I got dropped twice by Hendo, but usually you get dropped, you get finished in MMA. But boxing, you drop, you get 10 seconds to recover and then fight again. You can get dropped again, 10 more seconds to recover.
Right. Yeah. You get that time.
This is 12 rounds of headshots, the pellet. It's definitely the sparring in boxing is more. If you go to a boxing gym, you go to spar, they're gonna try to fight you and knock you out generally. So it's a different culture. So I think it's definitely worse for the CTE. I've seen guys in MMA a little bit, but way more mild.
You guys were training with Andre Ward.
Andre Ward, yeah.
How was that?
Extreme. I didn't really spar him much, but Nick and Nate used to spar him a lot, and they did really well. But Andre's really, really good fighter.
So what's pissing me off is, obviously all this stuff. I mean, before I was a little bit pissed over all this Jake Paul stuff. But I actually, as time went on, I actually respect him. I mean, I think he's taken it serious for the most part. I do know a few of his trainers. I'm pretty good friends with the BJ Flores. But again, it's like, is it such a different craft that, like, this is when I hear stuff like, him try to call out Nate. Here's my question. Would you fight him?
I mean, I would go in there and fight him.
I was going to say, is that a name or a money thing? This is a payday, right?
Because that's going to be a big payday.
Yeah. But
millions.
But too, publicity-wise, that'd be huge.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing: is it really that? I mean, I feel like it's such a different craft because do you look? Because when you hear Nate might fight him, even down the road, I'm just like, no, does that make you? Would that make him feel like you lose legacy?
I think Nate's a really good boxer, and I think he'll pick him apart. It's not easy because, like you said, Jake Paul, I do respect him. Originally, I didn't.
He's in shape. He's in shape, and I think at the end of the day, he's got those trainers. He's got those.
He's hired top-notch trainers, sparring partners. He does everything right. He doesn't he's not just signing these fights and not training. He's like training like a real pro. So I can respect him.
He's got to like protect his life at that point. Like you're going in the ring with some real fighters.
These guys are big dudes too. I feel like I mean, how did you feel about obviously Tyrone Woodley, huge name? Do you look at him differently that he got knocked out by Jake Paul, or I mean, is it just?
I mean, I don't know if it was the best move for him, but it was. It don't look great. I think it was. Jake Paul's been great at picking his fights too. Woodley's a good example because Woodley was an extremely talented fighter, but it was way towards the end of his career. He wasn't what he was like 3-4 years before.
That's what I was gonna say.
You think it was like
a young man?
You think it was 4 years prior he wouldn't have picked that fight? Like
Probably
if he was
not.
in his prime type deal?
Prime.
Yeah.
And also Woodley too, he's a one-punch knockout guy with the small gloves, the big gloves, it helps.
Big difference.
He doesn't put combos together. So for box, his style is better suited for MMA, his striking style, than boxing.
So they probably really studied him well to know that.
I'm for sure.
He's got to have someone in really looking at these fighters like okay, this one makes it. Here's 6 that you could maybe stand up to and
I would imagine him and his trainers probably think of guys that are names and they try to watch him box. Which
who's the weakest out of these 6 that we could take on?
I've heard him throw around like Dylan Dennis' name. That would be an easy guy to go in there and beat up.
No, I think that Dylan Dennis just didn't even want to get in there with him. I think he had the opportunity,
probably because he'll do call outs then not sign the match. That's what Dylan did with me. He called me out for a fight. So I hit the promoter up.
Find some way
"All
to get out of it or
and
back
then
out.
And then he doesn't respond to the promoters, makes excuses. I'm like, why are you calling me
Blame it
out?
on someone. Yeah,
You're not
dude,
really
a
going to
fight,
fight
let's
me.
go.
Yeah.
So what if us over here at Green Room, what if we put together a fight person and we had you fight against AJ? Would you take the fight?
There it goes. I was waiting for that because I was like, hold on. We've been pretty good on this episode. We gotta call someone
Spice
out
it
or
up, yeah.
some
I know,
shit. We gotta
I've
start.
already slapped him a few times.
That guy, man. Yeah.
Oh. There we go.
Whiskey,
Uh-oh.
proper 12.
Oh, here.
Yeah, we can't drink that. Hey, you can't drink that. Don't.
Okay, here we go.
Don't,
Much better.
hey, don't put that on the screen. Yeah,
I
we
ain't
can't,
drinking this
don't
garbage.
drink that bullshit.
Yeah, hey, and by the
Not
way,
endorsing his
by the
alcohol.
way, that shit is garbage.
Exactly. That's what I heard. I've never even drank it.
People
but
kept telling me to try it. I tried it. It's horrible.
that's what everyone said. I've never tried it. So I'll stick to not trying it.
Fuck that guy.
So I mean, do you think there's real beef with Nate and him? Do you
Oh,
think
yeah, for
you think
sure.
if you guys saw them like outside somewhere and Connor was on it, it would happen?
I mean, it's definitely possible if we said something. I remember I ran into Connor after the fight, like late night, I think like 4 a.m. I was like by myself. He was there with like some promoters. I'm like, oh, what up? All of a sudden, he's like, oh, it's cool. I'm like,
He didn't want none.
Yeah.
He didn't want none.
Yeah, dudes with him. But I looked at the
Have
guys.
you-
I'm like, oh, these guys aren't going to jump in if I fight them.
have you ever-
just tune real quick?
Have you ever caught yourself in that position, like maybe in a bar somewhere or just with friends or whatever, and like, yo, like someone's running their mouth, not even necessarily towards you, but just like, yo, like I'm gonna kill somebody, like type, you know what I mean? Like, yo, like I can't get in a street fight.
Yeah. No, the thing is though, when people talk shit to me, I don't really get mad. When people talk shit to my friends, when I get pissed.
No, but I don't even mean specifically coming at you, like, oh, like say someone doesn't even know who the hell you
Yeah.
are. And just
said
like
be
a
careful
fight,
in
just a
Vegas.
fight going on in a anywhere.
Yeah.
And found like have to hold yourself back. Like, yo, I could really kill this dude
yeah.
right now.
No, there's definitely times when I pull myself back. I'm
Yeah.
pretty
Good
pretty
about
at staying
like
mellow,
knowing that. Yeah.
There's been a few times
'Cause it's got it- I mean, like,
to smack them
Well, I think that'd be the move. Is like, yeah, just smack the shit out of
Yeah,
somebody and
that's
move
how I
on.
usually just slap
Because if
them,
someone
like,
really
get the
wants to
fuck
box
outta
you and
here.
they don't know who you are, like
Exactly.
they don't realize what they're
I
getting
tell
into.
friends all the time, I'm like, man, when you come to Vegas, this is MMA town. You better be careful who you're talking with and dealing
Could
with.
be just a random.
A lot of fighters here, yeah.
I see fighters all the time, and it's funny because I always see a lot of the bigger fighters. They look smaller in person, and I'm just like, man, I wonder how many tourists have just actually put themselves in that.
Just got,
Yeah.
just got their ass beat in the back
Yeah,
alley.
actually, Uriah Hall is one of my Turo customers. So when he actually the day that he kicked, was it Chris?
Snapped his Chris Weidman.
Chris Weidman, yeah.
So I got a request from Uriah. I was like, oh, this guy's fake. I'm like, he's just using this guy's picture, but it was really him.
That's funny. Yeah, you're like this weirdo.
Yeah, it was funny. He got dropped off. Something didn't work out with the car, but he got dropped off here in the parking lot. And he was like, "Yeah, man, I was really worried." And I was like, "About what?"
Well,
Like you don't have to worry about shit. Like,
And I canceled him because I thought it was,
That was
a
fake.
person.
No.
but yeah, he's actually
That's
a
the
cool
problem.
dude.
You could be like kind of famous. Everyone thinks you're faking it.
Right.
You're talking to someone like, oh,
Yeah, if you're trying to do anything
normal.
normal, they're like, yeah, that's definitely not you.
What do you think about him as a fighter?
I think he's good.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy. I actually feel like he's too nice.
Yeah, I've met him a couple times. I don't know him really well, but he
Yeah.
seems really nice. Like I said, I've only had positive interactions with him. So
Yeah, because I know Are you training out? Are you train out of Extreme Couture?
mostly out of Extreme, man.
Yeah, because I think he train. Does he train there when he comes?
He has. I've
He
seen him
has.
there a couple times.
Yeah.
He's not like there all the time, but he has been through there.
Yeah, and who else do you guys have over there? I know was Francis over there.
Francis, Sean Strickland.
You ever sparred with him?
Francis or
Yeah, Francis.
grappling, not sparring. I'm like, no, I'll pass on that. He'll kick guys' legs out. You see him like bust their knees.
You're like, I already made it. I made it this
guys.
long. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like get myself fucked up in the
He's
gym.
like almost 300 pounds and spars hard.
Yeah, like no, I'm good.
So I'll,
So
I'll grapple him.
Trying to
but
walk
not
home.
box him.
I'm pretty new at like watching UFC. Like now I'm into it. Do you feel like these injuries are a lot crazier from back in the day? Like
No,
the
I feel like it's-
hematomas and the
No, it's always been like that.
Yeah, oh, really?
There's historically I remember seeing guys getting their face cut open where you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is terrible, or giant swelling things. It's happened for a while. When I fought GSP, there was dude got his face swollen. It was one out to there, kind of. I think it was worse than that. Joanna had that one a couple years ago.
yeah.
A year ago, so
That I mean, what was crazy was you saw it growing like through the fight.
I think right before I fought GSP, a guy had one of those head, and I had to go fight after that. I'm looking at the tape. I'm wanting to watch backstage. I'm like, damn, I don't want that to happen to my head.
How was that fighting GSP in Canada?
It was nuts because that was like the largest live crowd ever, like 60,000 people. All Canadian, so I was
Right, they all want you to lose. Like
so
every single person
so
there.
I'm walking out with the loudest boos I've ever heard in my life. And like GSP
Your
walks
boos were
out.
louder than his cheers.
Did they have it? Did they have a certain chant or a way that they treat fighters over there?
I think they more do that like weirdo Euro where it's like, I know you've heard that weird Euro
like a
trash.
hockey game.
Like, God,
Yeah.
you guys are annoying. Shut up.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's funny. So how did that feel going 5 rounds with GSP?
It was a crazy experience. Just that crowd. You look up, you're like, holy shit, there's a lot of people. Because most of these stadiums, like here, what they hold maybe 15,000 people. So it's a big jump to like
big difference.
60,000.
Yeah.
Because that's like packed. You walk in these like the MGM used to be at, or what's T-Mobile now. I don't know what that holds, but I'd guess about 15. She's looking like 4 times that. It's like, damn, it's a lot of people.
Yeah. Could you have a hard time hearing what your corner people are saying in those?
Yeah, the crowd was so loud.
Yeah.
That was one nice thing about Japan. The crowd's so quiet, you can like hear your corner.
Like everyone's whispering.
When you travel outside of state and the crowd is negative, does that affect you
Not
when you're
really.
fighting? No.
It does some people. To me, I kind of like it. I have no
I was
problem.
gonna say it could be positive, right? That could
give
be.
you the adrenaline.
Yeah.
It make you want to
Like,
win
fuck
that
you
much
guys.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I'm
make them
gonna
look
beat your-
stupid.
Yeah, and I've mostly gone and fought people in their hometown. I used to go to Japan and fight Japanese, Brazil and fight the Brazilians, Canada fight the Canadians. So I'm used to being the bad guy.
Where was that brawl? Was that in Tennessee?
Yeah, Nashville. That was Nashville's a fun city.
So that was where that brawl happened when he fought the Dan Henderson.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. And I also read that you have a daughter.
Yeah, she's like 21 now, crazy in college.
Like,
So the good thing about that, when I heard that, I didn't know. I also heard Nate just had a daughter. Congrats to him on that. That's his second one, correct?
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, your kid got to see what a badass you were growing up.
Yeah, and like originally, I was fighting from when she was born, so to her it was just like, it was no big deal. When she started becoming a teenager, when she started realizing, wait, this is like
how scary were those? How scary were those prom dates? Or like, imagine
with them a little bit.
I just put on your fight as they come to pick her up for dinner.
So, hey, sit down.
Hey, watch this real quick.
When I heard that Nate just had a daughter, I was like, man, she's not going to get to grow up to actually feel how it feels to have such a badass dad.
Yeah, right.
You're obviously going to see it, be able to watch it. But
it takes them to a little older really to understand it, because you're a kid, you're just like, oh, that's what my dad does, no big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
You get older, they're like, wait, he does something crazy.
Like,
Why does everybody know his name?
Yeah, right. Like why are random people walking up to you taking pictures?
Yeah, that's nuts.
I know you did the fight life. You've done a bunch of MTV stuff. So moving forward, besides training and working in the gyms and stuff, what's on your radar? What are you doing?
I'm training some really good fighters out of Extreme. Do a bunch of business stuff. Launched a clothing company, AJJ. Some other stuff that's complicated. Don't feel like getting into. But
where's our shirts?
Stuff. I should have brought some by. So I keep myself busy. I have to. If I have nothing to do, I get so bored, I lose my mind. So
Because you're so used to
exactly. So I got to give myself work projects, and that's why I love the sport. That's why I train fighters, because I'm like, you know what, I need to. It keeps.
Got to
me
be around it a
involved.
little bit. Yeah, I'm sure you get anxious. Like, does it make you anxious, like
yeah.
watching fights or being at fights or?
Oh yeah, like especially cornering people. That's like so stressful when you're cornering a friend. I think
You know,
it's more
just jump in
stressful.
there and just
It's
fight for them.
almost more stressful than you fight, as crazy as that sounds.
Really?
Because when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
fight,
'cause-
you're in control, and you get yourself in a headspace where you're like crazy. You're like, oh, I don't give a fuck, because the whole like month leading up, you get yourself in that like mean headspace.
Right. You're just in the
But you're
zone.
cornering someone, you just walk in there and you're like, oh shit, he's got to fight.
Yeah.
You go out there like, this is stressful.
Who's gonna be? Do you know who's gonna be in Nate's corner for this Cosmot fight?
I'm not 100% yet, so
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go out there with him maybe next week and work with him for like a week.
Yeah, that's why I was like, when I, all of his fights basically, and I see you and I see Gil a lot, and even Kron, and I'm like, that felt good to me. When I saw Nick in his last fight, I didn't see you guys over there, and I was just like, that did not feel good to me.
Yeah, I don't think Nick had the best camp for his last one. It wasn't, the best situation, but I think now he's back to, healthy and training.
Yeah, I
healed
said I have,
injuries.
this is a guy I run around with every day, and I haven't seen him in 6 months plus, and I'm like, and that's a good thing. I'm
Yeah.
glad he's away from Vegas and
Exactly.
doing his thing. Do you think he'll come back and fight again?
Yeah, I think he will. I feel like his last fight was kind of pushed and rushed a little bit. I felt like
I hated it, man.
Yeah, it kind of irritated me, but what are you gonna do? It's,
Right.
I think he needed some money at the time, and it was kind of like people were pushing him into just fight. It's like, why couldn't they waited a couple months? He wasn't.
That's what
He wasn't ready to
Right.
fight
The
when
thing
they
that
signed it with no time for him to get it organized.
Yeah, everything together. Yeah, camp wise.
It's
Yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
funny, but I actually on social media, I actually got really mad at the Caesar Gracie, and I thought, and I mean, I guess you could be mad at anybody, but I actually sent him a really fucked up message because I'm like, yo, you're my boy's leader, and you know that he had no business going out there at that particular moment. Like you said, you should have pushed it back. You
Yeah.
should have got the proper whatever. And I'm like, who was really pushing him? There was this Kevin guy. I don't know how you feel about him, but
Yeah, man, it's complicated.
It's
'cause
super complicated.
I was getting irritated, and I'm like, people make money out of him, but then I.
That's what I'm saying. You think it's a money thing? You think it's a money thing? People don't want him to push it off because it might disappear.
Honestly,
like,
yeah.
just go,
I think
right?
guys push him into it.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Because they're getting paid.
Yeah.
People around him are getting paid.
Yeah. Otherwise,
off
why would they
fighting.
care? Like,
Well,
why
that's-
not push it off
that's
6
why I
months?
thought-
I mean, I'm not getting paid off of fighting, so I wanted him to wait. But I think when I started saying that, all of a sudden he gets pulled away from me.
Yeah,
gets
that's when you
gets
gotta
pulled
get
out
pushed
somewhere
away by the
else.
guys that want the
Fighting.
money.
And I'm like, we need to push this back. He hasn't, been training at all.
Right.
He's just,
Well, that's what. Yeah, I wasn't hearing. During the training process, I actually sponsored. What did we do? I paid for Martin's medicals
thing.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But and he was telling me, kind of a crazy roller coaster. But I was just like, okay, where are these guys? And I know, Nick and they, when they put their name on it, they're gonna go through with it.
Yeah.
They're gonna do what they said they're gonna do. But I was just like, somebody just step forward.
Step up and
That's why I
Right.
blame. That's why I blame the Caesar, because I'm like, yo, this is your guy. Like, you knew he wasn't fully ready at that
I
moment.
wasn't happy. I had a little argument with Caesar, but ultimately, Caesar's done a lot for me too, so I put it behind me. But there was a minute where I was like mad at Caesar. We went and had an argument, and he was like, you know what? Nick did it. There was a point when
it's his
the week
ultimate
before the
decision.
fight, like I looked at him like, dude, he's not ready.
Not ready.
I wanted to just cancel the fight, but I'm like, it's too late. It's here, so I'm like, you know what? I just gotta let it go through.
Martin was telling me. I'm like, okay, where's Jake Shields? Where is he training with his brother? Like, who's he training with? Like,
Yeah, I
they
think
kind
he
of
was-
pulled him off out of nowhere.
Yeah, you know it is. We all go through tough points in life. Sometimes you have a tough point, and Nick, that was probably like his lowest point at the time when he shouldn't have fought. He was re-getting his life back organized, and you're pushed into a fight. And now I think he's doing a much better place now. Now he could set a fight, but I'm looking at him being like, oh, we can't put him in a fight. Let's get everything straightened out first.
Handle personal
And then,
stuff.
and then, 'cause you know how it is. I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys have all had tough points where there's just the
Everybody
6
has,
months
of
when you're
course.
just like, your head's not there, and then all of a sudden they're telling you got to fight.
Not the
and you
right
can't
time to make a
train.
decision
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So it just wasn't the right time. But, it's hard to, I was mad at people for a minute, but I'm like, you know what? Ultimately, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, that's what I did too. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's really nobody to blame. Everybody makes their own decisions, but it drives me nuts. I hope in this process where he's getting things together, he reevaluates some of these people that are around him, because it's just a lot of them are for the wrong reason.
No, exactly. I mean, you've been around Nick, so unfortunately, he has some great people around him, but then he also, he's too kind, and sometimes that's the wrong
Very
people around.
kind. Him and Nate both are very kind to people, and like I said, in that industry, and you blow up so big like that, everybody wants to get a piece of something.
You gotta learn you can't always be nice. That there's people out there trying to take advantage of
do
you.
the best for
yeah.
best for
And
yourself
Nick's
versus
yeah.
everyone
Nick's
else.
so loyal and trusting. I think sometimes he's
true.
over loyal and over trusting, where he lets people, take advantage of him.
And I think it was kind of good that he stopped it before it, he could have got injured pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he did great for not training.
Right.
No, hey,
Not being ready.
we remember that we went to a little party probably about a month ago, and it was with Robbie had another fight out here, and it was his nephew. And so we were in his room. But his nephew was like, I'm a big Nick fan,
Yeah, no,
he
I
said
actually like Robbie.
Yeah, no,
That's a guy I fought too, and I have a lot of respect for him. But he's a good dude. I mean, you could see he even knew Nick wasn't ready.
he knew
Right.
he knew 100%. Oh yeah, on this list of wins I have on you, I see Mike Pyle. Now, that used to be one of my boys. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's extremely talented.
What was crazy with him was I actually, when I moved out here in 05, 06, I went to Extreme Couture. I think it was when it first opened, and he was a coach there. So me and him hung out for a couple years, and I kind of lost track of him. But then I saw he had got a few wins in the UFC, and I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, he's an absolute
Is
killer.
he still around?
I think
He's
he's
still here?
still in Vegas. I've seen him over there at what's that other gym?
Syndicate?
Syndicate, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he's extremely talented room. I think he's one of those guys maybe underperformed
He's from
in some
Tennessee,
few of his
right?
fights. I'm actually not sure.
I think
He
he's
may be,
from,
yeah, from the same hood, maybe.
yeah. But no, he was a beast. So with the landscape today, if you had to pick one guy out there that you like actually hate and would love to fight, that's at the top of
Gotta throw that hate word in there.
Yeah,
Not want to fight, but who you hate.
Dylan, AJ,
No, like people like legitimate people, like this
Connor, but he wouldn't fight me.
What about would you fight like with a style bender?
Yeah,
Would that interest
I
you?
like him, so I have to make myself hate
I like him too.
But because he's so talented to be such a good fight, I'd fight him. Like I said, I personally like the guy. I'm a fan of his.
Yeah.
So I would have to like make myself start hating him.
Yeah, I saw it was weird when we were in New York for that fight. I went with Nick. We went to, I believe it was Tower Marquee, and we saw him, and he was like a super big fan of Nick and Nate, and it was just weird seeing him being like, "Oh my God, I love you guys."
Yeah, no, he's a super. Like I said, I ran into him. He was super nice, respectful.
Yeah.
Like I said, nothing good things to say about the guy, and it's. He came up quick. I mean,
His
he popped on the
skill,
scene,
yeah.
and then he was champ like right away.
So here's a great question. So I always feel like when there's certain guys, they just and like for instance of like a Chuck Liddell, I feel like Rampage had his number, meaning Rampage was going to beat him 10 out of 10 times. For whatever reason, the styles just didn't mix. Did Chuck ever beat Rampage? By the way, I don't think
No, they
he
just
did.
fought that once.
Oh, they only one time?
I think so.
I thought they fought once or twice.
No, they fought once. I don't think there was a second, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think there was actually a second one because I know I was a big Chuck fan.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a Rampage fan, but I just always wondered, with these styles, like, do you think Stylebender going into this fight with this Alex Pereira, being that guy's beat him twice already, like, do you think that's going to be in his head? Like,
It's
is that
definitely gonna be in his head? Some different sport, but it's like you said, it's one, like maybe Stylebender could be a better fighter, but he could lose to a guy because of style match. That's why it's so hard to stay undefeated in MMA. Because
like, do you think they
so
push
much
that
going
guy?
on?
They push that guy
they pushed him
forward
really
too
quick,
fast.
yeah.
That what is
Well,
Alex?
he
Pereira,
had that
or-
legit win with Strickland, so I think they did like speed him up, and he
You
didn't
don't
really
waste
he
time.
didn't really
you
deserve
got
the
you got
fight.
that
Was-
spotlight on
yeah.
you. You got to take advantage of
He
it.
probably shouldn't have been giving Strickland that fast, but obviously they gave it to him because they knew it would build that big fight. And Strickland probably was the #1 contender, so it's hard to argue with. He knocked Strickland out, so it's hard to argue with him deserving the title shot.
Yeah, I heard. I thought I saw in a video Strickland trains over at Extreme Couture.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you think about him? He's kind of
know,
got a goofy personality.
I like him. When I first met him, I'm
Yeah.
like, this guy's a fucking weirdo. Who's this?
He's like super outspoken
Yeah.
and crazy.
I
And
think the first time I trained with him, because I wasn't, it was, I hadn't fought. I kind of stopped watching fighting for a couple years. I had no idea who he was, and he was like tough. We were like going at it. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like we were like talking shit about the fight.
Yeah.
But then after 1 or 2 times working with him, I warmed up on him. Like, oh, he's actually a cool dude. He trains hard. He's super talented. He's a really good grappler, which is stupid why he didn't try to take that dude down. He just fought.
Exactly.
It's like, why didn't you go for a takedown? But for sure, that's eating him up too.
yeah, I laughed that he would. He had such a funny sense of humor. He was out. He posted a video of him. He's like, yeah, I was gonna buy a sport car, but now I'm buying a Honda Accord because I got knocked out in the last fight. But I thought that was funny.
Brutal. But
Any fighters you're working with that that you feel are going to be
who's this Patchy?
that you
Pat-
feel are going to be
Yes.
big in the
Yeah.
sport, big
yeah,
big.
Patchy Mix is really good. He's with Bellator, so unfortunately he doesn't get the same kind of hype of UFC, but he's in that, just won the first round of the $1 million tournament. So 2 more rounds, I think he'll probably win that. And they got this guy, Javed Basharat, and his brother Farid Basharat, both extremely talented. Javed, I believe, is fighting next month, 2-0 in the UFC now. Hopefully after this one we get him a ranked opponent, because I think he's I've been training him for like close to a year now, and he's just improving so fast. I think that guy's gonna
Do you
big
guys
things
ever
quick.
do you scout people ever? Do you ever see people like come out, like NCAA champions in wrestling and say, hey, maybe we can switch this guy over to MMA?
I mean, I don't. People definitely do.
Yeah.
If I was, like I said, coaching is more of like a side thing I do. So I only train guys that come to me are really interested. But yeah, if I was doing that full time, running a gym, that would be the smart thing to do. is
You,
spot-
you ever
spot
see
guys in
yourself
other sports.
in like a management coach type position like that?
Man, I thought about it because I've been.
I feel like
said,
you
I mean, it's
Right.
been your whole life. Like, why
have a
wouldn't
lot
you?
of-
yeah, because I've been in business and I'm training guys. Sometimes I see these guys
Yeah.
having a hard time getting fights. I know all the promoters have actually
Right.
helped.
No,
guys.
you could get anyone any fight pretty
I
much
say
that
I've
they
gotten
want.
guys
And
fight
you've
before.
seen the transition from
Yeah.
how it's so successful.
What's
now.
keeping you from doing that?
Good question. Rich.
Nothing?
Yeah, no, nothing.
I need
exactly.
half. I need half. I need half.
He's still,
5%.
he's still waiting for that Jake Paul fight.
Yeah. After you beat Jake's ass, then we'll go on the
Yeah, maybe you
management
could
side.
work with these YouTubers.
Hey, wherever there's money.
I was gonna say if
I know,
they got the
right?
check, if the check's right.
Yeah,
never
people
know.
are getting famous off YouTube now. It's crazy.
No. And then, you know what? That's another thing is it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. You know, people being in it for the money or the fame. Do you feel like I feel like in pretty much any entertainment industry, social media changed it. You know, like from rap to anything. Do you feel like it hurt the sport at all, or do you feel like it was? I mean, I guess it could on the fighting side. It kind of made it bigger than it was.
UFC's gotten bigger, so I think
Of course,
overall,
yeah.
I think overall, I'd say it helped the sport, but it's a little unfair.
Brought a couple clowns into the ring.
And some of the most famous guys aren't always the best guys.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
So now, exactly. So it's not who's the badass. It's
Sometimes you
who's more
talk
popular
shit,
type.
like,
Run your mouth.
I wish
and
I would have
lose.
talked more shit because I was too just like, oh, I'm just gonna train and worry about winning.
Right.
Prove it in the
World
ring.
champions, but I wasn't out there talking shit. If I could
Yeah.
redo it, I would be on social media talking shit on everyone.
So you
like,
didn't
running my mouth.
during most of your career, social media was irrelevant?
It was getting there, but it wasn't as relevant. So there was like Twitter, but I didn't really use it, or I just tweet out generic fucking fight shit, and then like.
Well, it's not like there was all these like video people
Exactly.
with channels and
people weren't
commentates.
getting famous on like YouTube.
Right.
And TikTok wasn't out, obviously. People are getting famous on TikTok and stuff now.
I still have a hard time. Like I feel like
True doesn't know how to turn on a computer.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like all this, like all these things just keep popping up. Like I'm just got comfortable with Instagram, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you got to go to Snapchat, and I'm like,
Right.
man, I can't keep up with all this shit.
That's how we know we're getting old, because exactly they're switching up. And I'm like, damn, I'm still figuring out Instagram.
I barely got Facebook fucking login.
Hey, I keep saying, I'm like, man, I still like MySpace because you could put your song.
Yeah,
Actually-
my face
And
is
a
my
cool little
favorite,
back-
right?
Actually, I will say I do follow you on Instagram, and you have some pretty funny memes.
I was gonna say, so
Sometimes
I like talk a little
you're,
shit
is it good? Do you get a good like response like on social media? Like
I get mixed because I'll say controversial stuff. So
Yeah, that's what I was
you're
getting.
very
So I
So
get
you're-
hate, I get hate
yeah.
and love, you know. I'll say controversial things
Just
like
to
men shouldn't compete in
hype 'em
women's
up?
sports, crazy controversial stuff like that.
Did you vote for Biden?
Hell no. I want that senile old man.
Dude, did you just see that video? I just sent her a video yesterday of him trying to put that jacket on.
Oh yeah, I was like,
Getting out of the
I didn't.
helicopter.
what do you?
Oh, my
he
God.
like turned towards the wind to.
I saw another one today where
It
he's
was
sitting there.
unbelievable.
I think it's Schumer's. He shook his hand, and then he walks back, and he's sitting there trying to shake his hand again, and the guy is just like. It's like
Well, yeah, I heard
he's
you
just a
say
senile old
on
man.
one of your
It's insane.
things, you're like,
Jesus.
he's not running the world. He's not the president. And it's like, clearly he's not.
I mean, even if you like with the policies, it's clearly that's not the dude running the country.
No.
He
Talk
can
about a thing
barely
for
get out of bed.
conspiracy
He
theories.
can
You see the
barely
president-
read the teleprompter.
Do you see the one where he say he's like repeat the line end quote?
I'm like, what an embarrassment.
Right.
That's
People
why-
saying Trump was embarrassing to the world. Look at this clown show.
Hey,
I know.
what was crazy with the Trump, like the whole thing with Trump was, I thought when he came in, I was unsure because I'm like, okay, reality star to president. But man, as those years came on, I really started liking Trump.
he's funny.
He's great.
Yeah,
He's
and
just
I
not
miss him.
following-
I miss him on Twitter.
I think most people miss Trump. Everyone.
We need to get him his Twitter
He'll
back.
probably there's things I don't like about Trump. To be honest,
Right.
like he was the best leader,
Right,
but he's a hell of a lot better than Biden. I think everyone was crying, freaking out. People are looking back, being like, "Huh, I was freaking out over this dude, and we have this."
Yeah,
moron."
just because he was posting
This
dumb
is, this
shit.
is what I said. I said
Biden is not going to call CNN fake news or like call all these people out.
Yeah, I was just like, man, I was just like, you're just looking at the two, and it's like, this guy is not fit to be the fucking president. So he wins automatically by default. And like, when those voting things came back, I mean, we followed. There's no fucking way. There's no way he won.
There's
dude.
You're
No way
not
he
even
won.
allowed to question it, though.
Yeah.
You question it, they'll
Right.
ban you.
Who are you? Who are
No,
you?
and they
How
probably,
dare you
No
say he
comment.
didn't get 81 million votes?
yeah, you probably definitely can't. You got that blue check mark. You're like, you got.
Oh, they'll ban you real quick. You
Oh,
question
yeah.
that at all, you're banned for life.
Yeah.
How dare you say there's a chance he didn't get 81 million votes?
I kind of want to party with the Hunter Biden though. Not
He-
his
he
kind of
looks like a
party.
fun guy to party
Yeah,
with.
he's,
He might be a little more
You know,
evolved. but-
He's crazier than me.
he seems like his dad was the one, because he was so on like crack back in the day, that it seemed like Hunter was like the one who like got in and took all the evidence and fucking smoked it. And now that's where we are. Jesus. He's getting caught up with prostitutes and shit.
Like, how are you his son? You let that video get like
right? Like, why would you like film that stuff?
It doesn't.
Knowing
It's like
your dad's
I feel like we're in a reality show.
Crack.
Yeah, what like
weighing out crack?
Like a lot of crack too.
Yeah.
Especially when his dad is the one that didn't his dad pass the laws to put people mandatory minimums for crack?
Yeah. Did you see they
That's
put
a big
the
party.
videos of 2 and 2 together of his dad talking about it? Like, if you have 0.5, you're going to jail.
And he has like a pound.
Big ass shit.
Blocks are like that big or huge.
So do you think I feel like I don't even feel like we're back. I mean, I do feel like the world's still a little bit weird.
I feel like every time we're like we're fucking finally getting back to normal. Like, now there's this.
Monkeypox.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I was saying.
monkeypox,
Like, I got an Uber in LA this week, and they're like, "Oh, you have to wear a mask." Like, wait, fuck. I thought we got rid of masks like 6 months
California's
ago.
weird. That's why I moved.
Yeah.
Well, what was weird too was I just saw a little blurb on social media that said that you can get it from cash handling, and it's like, oh, okay,
They're like, oh yeah,
okay.
don't use cash anymore because you could get
Kissing,
monkeypox.
holding hands, sharing sheets, and now cash handling.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not anti-gay or against them having giant orgies, but it's spreading in gay orgies.
He said, he said a butt is a butt.
Right. Oh, yeah.
If they want to fuck, I'm not going to be like, hey, gay dudes, don't go do your drugs and fuck. But that's exactly how it's spreading.
I saw on one of your things you said you were you made a comment about them getting to celebrate a month. And I'm like, that is kind of crazy because it's like saying, okay, so do the straight
Do we get a
people
straight month?
Yeah.
Celebrate a whole month of partying, or is that?
Oh yeah,
just
people got so mad. I forget exactly what I said. Something about like, I don't even know what I said, but they get so mad you question gay month. They're like, come on, do you really need a month? I could get it maybe 30 years ago when there was anti-gay sentiment. There's not really. Gay
whatever.
people are
Do whatever the
everywhere.
fuck
They're
you
in
want.
every TV show. They're overrepresented, not underrepresented.
Yeah. And you lived in San Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly. I'm like that. I'm in no way anti-gay, but I don't want. They don't need like special catering.
Shove it in my face.
Every single company with a rainbow. It's literally like Raytheon. They sell bombs to drop on Middle Eastern kids. And they got like gay. I remember a year ago, someone made a parody of it, and then they literally had like the Raytheon rainbows. Like, okay, you're bombing Middle Eastern kids with rainbow flags. It's just absurd.
Yeah, that is absurd.
Show your pride.
Yeah, right.
Hey, so I know everybody's saying that it's going to only get weirder as I guess there's a midterm or something coming up.
Yeah.
Do you think Trump's going to get back in there? Or do you think?
Well, they just arrested or they raided his.
It was like yesterday. He said, "You didn't? Did you see that? You didn't see that?
man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Which is, could you imagine if they raided, I think for mishandling class information. Imagine if they arrested Obama for mishandling class. Every president,
it'd be a
Right.
fucking
any president has massive amounts of classified information because you were the president of the United States. You had all the classified information. So to like raid him for that is just.
Where's Hillary's emails?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, hey, I was actually really impressed
Good
that comment the style bender said when he said they put who was that? Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right.
They gave her 20 years, and then he's like, "Where's this list of all the pedophiles?"
Yeah, they never released it.
Never released
It just kind of they swept under.
Well, apparently
they
the
released
same-
monkeypox.
the same guy
But that's
Yeah.
dangerous. Hey, that's dangerous for style bender
Oh,
because
yeah.
he's on
Exactly. The
that's a
same guy, I
huge
guess,
platform.
that signed off on the raid for Trump is the guy that led off and hit all the Epstein's clients.
Wow.
But I don't know the exact details behind it, but seeing it's
Yeah.
the same dude that like didn't push who his clients were. 'Cause I'm sure he knows who they are.
Do you ever feel? Do you ever? I think the answer is no. But do you ever feel like you got to hold back on your views?
I used to, but then I'm like, what's
What the fuck are they gonna do to me? Like, I'm just like,
why are
yeah.
they gonna cancel me? I do all my shit on myself. I have my own companies.
Yeah, there's no one that can tell you. There's no one that can tell you. Yeah,
no one can fire me. Like
Right.
ESPN maybe because I was maybe gonna work with them, and they're obviously not gonna hire me. But fuck ESPN.
Yeah.
they're cheap as fucking don't pay.
Yeah.
There we go. Fuck KJ. Fuck ESPN. Who else we
Yeah.
got?
Yeah, well, they pay dudes like $3,000 for fucking fly out somewhere. It's like, yeah, go fuck yourself. I make way more than that doing something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, man. Well, we
There we go.
appreciate you coming
Yes.
by, Jake.
Thank you
Oh,
so
yeah.
much.
You talked about the clothing line. Give them the clothing
Yeah.
line.
Oh yeah, it's at AmericanFight.com's website, which is American Jiu-Jitsu. AJJ is the company, so it's
AJJ.
yeah, it's new. We launched our first couple designs. I think I'm gonna go meeting with the guys and put some new designs. It's
Is there female merch too?
I don't, but I hopefully
Guy?
no, I'm going
Come
to
on,
meet.
man.
I'm
There's
going to meet
female
with the guys.
fighters.
Going to the
Some
meeting.
stuff.
Going to the
So,
meeting.
Holy.
Yeah, so next week meet with the guys because I want to launch some, for
Some
once
tank
some new
tops. Get some
styles. So
tank
yeah, I'll do a
tops.
girl stuff and then
Yeah.
get some like workout gear, and like because workout gear is a big market too. I
Hell
haven't get
yeah.
sure.
just to get that.
Get the
so.
leggings.
And your personal socials, so we can see these memes that Domo started.
Instagram is just Jake Shields, and the first one that pops up, and then Jake Shields AJJ on Twitter. If you want to see me really talk shit,
Is Twitter? I was gonna say, what's your go-to for talking shit?
Usually
I know.
Twitter
I feel
now.
like
Yeah.
like people like they go to Twitter for this, like
Twitter
a little
is-
safer on
I
Instagram.
mostly just use Twitter because you can talk a bunch of shit, but I'll
Yeah.
probably be banned soon because I keep getting suspended.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're getting you like that
For
already.
something like you like there was some like gay dude creeping on a kid, like said groomer, so suspended for that. But it's like, come on, the dude's clearly creeping on a little kid.
Right.
Is
Yeah,
it?
that
But they're
kinda
like,
means-
because you're gay, you're allowed to creep on it. But if you call a straight
It's
dude creeping on
okay.
a
It's
kid,
okay. Yeah. Then you're fine. Then
not
you're a
anti-gay,
hero.
But if a gay dude's trying to have sex with a little kid, that's disgusting.
I don't
But you
think
can't call that out on Twitter.
in public,
No.
in
don't-
general,
I don't think Epstein's dead.
Wouldn't be surprised.
he's probably up in your attic.
I
or
don't think
something.
Maxwell's in jail.
Neither do I. I mean, these people.
They're both back on the island.
Yeah.
Just posted.
Yeah, that's a weird island. You see pictures, they have like
Oh.
temples on
Yeah,
there and
yeah.
shit. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, it's always you hear all these conspiracy theories, but every time I hear it, I'm like, you're never gonna hear the answer to the thing.
Yeah.
So it's just that.
You get there's like
whatever
you
you
get to a
problem.
certain point, and it's just
It's
like,
whatever
alright,
you think it
you get
is,
no more
it's-
info.
It's-
Whatever you believe,
We can see something's off, but we can't figure out exactly what it is.
and you're
so-
never gonna know. Never.
Were you
Okay.
ever afraid when they had the killer bees? Like, hey, when
kind of like
just
the hole in the
But I-
ozone layer.
I think that's why they had to come up with the monkeypox.
Exactly.
They're like, the bees didn't work.
Yeah. Hey.
global
hey,
warming.
yeah. Like when we're sitting at
What's
sitting at
next
home
in the
a
safe?
pandemic, I'm like,
The
what
hornets.
in the yeah, the killer
The hornets.
Man, COVID worked. People were scared.
Oh no,
Right.
that was
people,
good.
They're the same people that walk around maskless now, and COVID's still out there.
Hey, so I
acting like
just-
it never happened.
Yeah, they were
I
like,
asked
oh
Domo
shit, you
that,
got me good.
Yeah.
I asked Domo this question. I was like, so do you remember when the pandemic happened? Do you remember what the first distraction was in America? As we were all at home already.
What
Remember?
was it?
Tiger King.
Oh, that's right. That was entertaining.
Yeah,
that was actually good.
Carol Baskin.
At least they were,
I
at
watched
feeding
that,
us
yeah.
entertainment. Like they hooked us up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna hate on Tiger King. That was like funny.
Yeah.
Remember Trump was supposed to pardon him supposedly.
Yeah.
See, he
And
should have.
he did
they
not.
wrote that one out for a
Hey,
minute.
you know what we said for Trump? If Trump would have just pardoned El Chapo, a fucking man for life.
He
Yeah, fuck it.
pardoned himself.
Hunter would have been happy.
Yeah.
This is a supplier.
Hey, and that's another thing. Chapo's probably not even in jail either.
Yeah, he probably escaped like the 8th time or whatever.
Probably
Yeah.
where-
How do you dig yourself out of jail
That's
19
probably
times?
where Hunter Biden is getting his shit from.
Right, the pure stuff. He gets the good crack.
And where can we find you at Domo Monster?
I'm on Instagram, Domo Monster 7.
And of course at Green Room Radio, since True's
Yeah.
we don't know if True, he said he got
He's been
hacked, but
hijacked.
he said he got hacked, but I
Some
think he
old
just
man
got
shit.
blocked.
No, somebody took.
They've been out asking for money, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I got my Facebook hacked, my athlete page. I think a couple 100,000 people, and they post all these like weird videos. Like, oh, this
Yeah.
sucks.
Dude, that's what I had. I was at like 30,000 people, but I'm like, why the fuck would someone want my page? But it pissed me off because this guy was fucking with me. He told me 2,500, and then he's like, look, bro, he's like 1,500, and I'll teach you how to do this to people. And I'm like, I don't want to teach people. Yeah.
Give me my shit back.
And then he put, so this was the end game. So it's all my pictures, and I got like my baby on there and everything, and it's all my shit. And he put the caption, every time is up. That's what he fucking put, like as like a fuck you to me. And so I don't know. I just haven't went through the steps to get the page back because I'm like, I don't give a fuck enough about it.
Like,
'Cause you don't know how.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
'cause
get my
you don't know
Facebook
how.
back. It's difficult. I was trying. To
Oh, wait, it's
contact
still
them.
gone?
Oh yeah, they still got it.
Oh yeah, they don't
Oh.
care.
I don't know how to get it back. They
Yeah,
don't
that's
have
your,
any,
like-
they don't like have a contact at Facebook. No one you can like call. So
Now
it's
you
like-
got to know someone that knows
Yeah,
someone, or
exactly.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah,
leave us alone.
Somebody told us she had a little guy from Instagram give me this little 4-step thing, but I'm like, you know what? I feel
Not worth
happier off of fucking Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I don't
less
really.
distractions.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
y'all
Catch
checking in,
y'all
man.
next
Thank you
week.
for your
Thank you
time,
so
brother. We
much.
appreciate you. Green Room Radio. We are out of here.
Peace.
Bye.